God commissions Zechariah as one of the first returning priests and leaders. He commissions him with this massive, daunting, unbelievable, seemingly impossible task of rebuilding the temple, of heading up, of giving leadership to the restoration of the temple that was in ruins. And it was such a massive, daunting task, as you could imagine, because a returning exile and returning exiles have no money. They have no resources. They lost all of that, and if they were ever going to keep hold of any of it, they wouldn't have sustained it for 70 years. So the returning generation to Jerusalem were without many of the resources they had accumulated, all of which was stolen from them during the invasion and the capture. And so you can imagine what's going around Zechariah's head is, how in the world am I going to do that? How are we going to do that? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Are you sure, God, that that's what you want me to do? Questioning whether or not he'd heard from God, hoping he hadn't. And so God says to him, not, I will take care of the resources. God could have said that to him. God didn't say, don't worry, I will send you the right people with the right connections. God could have said to him, there are others that are about to arrive that I've also spoken to. Of all the things God could have said to him to help him move forward in this great commission that he carried, God said to him, Zechariah, whatever you do, don't despise the day of small beginnings. Why would God say that to him? And why would God say that to us tonight? It's because God knows that we have a tendency to do exactly that. And it suggests to me, and that's what I want to spend time with you on tonight, it suggests to me that God knows something about beginnings that we don't. And it's that I'm interested in and fascinated by when I saw this some weeks ago and looked at it afresh, of what this meant to Zechariah and why God, of all the things he could have said that to him. It seems to me that small beginnings, and some of you are facing those tonight, and I'm glad you're here. As I speak tonight here and those online around the world, maybe you are right now struggling with the pressure and the pain and the isolation and the fatigue and the discouragement and the lack of resources and the lack of support and the lack of belief that all belong to what's called a small beginning, which is why we tend to despise them. Some of you are in the beginnings of a relationship and you're struggling. Some of you are in the beginnings of a new business idea, and some days, most days at the moment, it feels more like 3 steps forward and 2 back. Some of you are in the early stages of a degree program or an academic pursuit that you are in. Some of you are in the beginnings of maybe recovery from an addiction, or moving on after changing an old habit and replacing it with a new one. And these early days of you trying to make that your new norm is very difficult. You are in the early, fragile, small beginnings of some new thing in your life. Some of you are in the new beginnings, the small beginnings of a calling, of a sense of destiny, an idea, an invention. This applies to anything that's going on in your life right now, or someone you know to whom God would want to say in your small beginning, like he did to Zechariah, whatever you do, in this small beginning that you are intimidated by and are struggling under, do not despise this day, this season, this time of your life of that small beginning. Small beginnings are very painful. I think that's why God told us to not quit in the midst of them. You know, there are many, many people, some you know, some will never know about, that never realized their dream. They never survived the days of small beginnings because they were so painful. and so demanding and so lonely and so difficult that they never survived those early days and therefore abandoned the idea, abandoned the relationship, abandoned the business idea, abandoned the calling, abandoned whatever it was that they felt at one time was going to be this big idea that they had for their life. But the small beginnings took them out. And I want to hold you steady tonight. And I want to throw a lifeline to you tonight of encouragement. That all of you here that are involved in a small beginning, listen up tonight. Do not despise, do not reject, do not get angry and frustrated and check out of your small beginning, because the greatest times are still to come, but you'll never see them if you check out in the pressure that belongs exclusively to small beginnings. That's why God said, whatever you do, don't despise them, because what you despise, you can't honor. What you despise, you see no value in. What you despise, you're going to seek to remove from your life rather than keep welcoming into your life.